What's up, party people? Welcome to the Honest Trailer Commentaries for Romeo plus Juliet equals Us. We're going to talk about the film, give you some behind-the-scenes thoughts. We'll get into some deleted scenes. We'll respond to questions and comments from viewers like you, and then tease next week's Honest Trailer. It's going to be a good one, and today will be a good one because I'm here with Danielle and Lon. Hello, my young lovers.
Hello.
Hey.
That was a weird way to introduce you. I just think that you have a lot of love in your heart.
Right, yes.
But is it for...
My acts are going to be weird, but that's fine.
This is not a throuple.
Or, I don't know. I mean, we'll tease that out for a few weeks, maybe. You guys don't know.
Do you guys have love in your heart for this film?
This film so much reminds me of my childhood, which I guess is weird, but it was that like Titanic-y era, that Romeo plus Juliet era, that era when all of a sudden everyone really discovered Leonardo DiCaprio. And yeah, I'll say it. I had a crush on Leonardo DiCaprio. I think everyone did after watching him doing all of his Leo stuff in this movie. Like this was his debutante coming out party,
He is a little dreamboat. Lon, what's
Yeah,
your take?
I liked this a lot when it came out. I was a little older. I was already I think I was a freshman in college when I saw this. I thought it was really cool at the time. Like a fresh new take on this stodgy old stuff. Cool with modern style. And now going back, it's so dated. And it's like, I haven't really watched it a lot in between. So I was like taking fresh eyes at this thing. And now it plays pretty ridiculous and cartoony. And I feel like if I had watched it as myself now, then I probably would not have liked it. But I liked it in its era.
I liked it, and I surprisingly still liked it when I watched it again. I don't know if it's not dated, or if I'm just unfairly comparing it to Hamlet 2000, where Ethan Hawke gives To Be or Not to Be in a blockbuster.
Yes.
I don't think there are any moments like that where you're like, wow, this is definitely 1997.
Oh, come on, though. Like, the entire aesthetic, like, especially the costumes, and, like, it's the most late 90s thing that's maybe
I don't know, to me, it was kind of
me.
like an out of time, kind of this just surreal, carnival-esque experience. Like, it felt so set designed.
Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, with pink hair Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy.
As anything can be with a shirtless pink-haired Jamie Kennedy in almost every scene.
Yeah,
Other than that, unstuck in time.
In that sense, it is very 90s. It was a 90s heightened version of reality. But again, it wasn't in a blockbuster. It didn't take place in a Jamba Juice. They weren't.
It just looks like a 311 video. Like, I honestly, it's not a debate show. We don't have to movie fight this. But I feel like you could not be more wrong right now. Like, this is the most 90s thing.
I'm not
why
seeing
all my jokes didn't get through. I now see, because of this fundamental disagreement.
I don't know. We'll break the tie, Danielle. Is this hopelessly dated, or is this out of time and forever frozen in amber, which is the color of your energy? So says Nick Hexum of 311.
It's true. I don't know. I do think this is a little 90s. I wouldn't say it's like. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing, but I would definitely say that this is a little 90s. But it reminds me of like my childhood and when I was happy. Yeah. So 90s is good. I guess me.
Baz Luhrmann and the 90s might be inescapable, but to me, this is more a Baz Luhrmann movie than like a 90s time capsule. Because like all of his movies have that same kind of look to them where they're so over the top. And I think kind of switching gears for a minute, that it fits the material, because this is an insanely over the top, over dramatic, like just effusive story and play. And sure. I think that people kind of made fun of it or didn't like it because, they're doing like an MTV, like quick cuts, like hyper sensualized version of it. But that's the story of Romeo and Juliet. Like,
yeah, I don't disagree. I agree with that. Like, it does make sense to take a like MTV teen sort of aesthetic to this story, because that's what it's about. It's about this impetuous, and that's the thing, like pop culture always thinks of Romeo and Juliet as just like the greatest of all love stories. And it is that, but it's also kind of this commentary on young love and how your first time through, you don't really like get it, and everything seems dialed up to 1,000. So yeah, I think on that level it makes sense. It's just the visuals, the aesthetics that are so of its moment to me that it really is. It's like listening to Steal My Sunshine with one earbud in while you're sitting in high school English class. Like, that's the exact, I feel like, like moment that this is recreating.
Now that song's stuck in my head and it will
Yeah.
never go away.
I mean, I know it's done.
Now we're in too deep. Oh, Len. I'm going to call you Len from now on, Lon. All right, let's roll the honest trailer for Romeo plus Juliet. We'll have more to say.
In a world full of violence and romance, two young lovers will... Hold on, sorry. This doesn't feel like it fits the material. Can we try some iambic pentameter? Where's my high school lit book? Let me see here. A classic work of English literature, of love forbade and youthful lives undone, that's been retold 1,000 times before. But this time, there are lots of drugs and guns. Romeo plus Juliet.
I think just the initial drive to do this movie was like, I guess it's Valentine's Day coming up. Like we'll do a romance, and we thought this one would be fun. And then I don't know, just thought it'd be cool to try to do it like Shakespeare. What's the experience like of writing in verse for you guys?
This is the first time I've done it since college. I like prose. So it was fun. It was a fun challenge. It was fun to get to try to get all of these like fart jokes and make them classy. I feel like I put laurels on my fart jokes.
Yeah. I only realized about halfway through trying to write a bunch of these stanzas that I was using the Dead Poet Society trick. You know, Robin Williams, that movie is like, this above all to thine own self be true. And that's how he teaches them iambic pentameter. I was doing that in my head, not even realizing where I got that from. And I was like, oh, I learned something from Dead
a movie.
Poet Society.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's really one of those things that it's hard. It's like you have to change the way your brain works at first. But like once you've started doing it, you're like, oh, I could kind of slip into this, and now I like get what 10 syllables is going to be, you know, like at first you're doing the math all the time. And then after a while you're like, oh, that'll be 10 syllables, you know, like you sort of get there. So like what I'm saying is Shakespeare just like, you know, just formed good habits, not really a great writer. Just got used to it, really.
Yeah, this was easy.
I mean, you could knock out a King Lear if you just got in the groove as well.
I'm proud of us. I think aside from the times when we very obviously break out of it, I'm pretty sure we stick with the pattern the entire time. So fact check us on that, but I'm going to give us props.
We got there. I think we were.
Yeah,
I think there's 10 syllables per line.
All right, keep going.
Juliet. Shakespeare's immortal romance set today in fair Verona, now a beachside town that looks like an ad for Axe body spray, presented for the Royal British Crown. A modern look at the Bard's classic play. Baz Luhrmann likes to show Leo Cavort, a theater kid who's crossed with Michael Bay, whose films have helped us write our book reports. Want something subtle? Try a different film. Did you know that they call their guns swords?
Put up thy sword.
If you're having trouble keeping up, here are extreme close-ups of some words.
So pause. Pause to talk Baz. What happened to Baz Luhrmann? Didn't he have a TV show or something? Like he had a solid run of Moulin Rouge, this movie, and Gatsby, and then I don't feel like we've heard from him again. Or did he have like some bombs or what?
No, he's
what
got
happened?
that. What's that Netflix show? It was really The Get Down.
Yeah, The Get Down.
Yeah, that's what he
Like
was
The Get Down kind of flopped, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. But it's
or it was
he worked on recently.
Or it was insanely expensive, but and Netflix was like, unless this is a
I
hit.
liked it.
He had some big, expensive stuff that didn't hit, like Australia. He did that big epic movie. So I feel like, we're a little dormant. But I mean, Gatsby wasn't that long ago.
That's true. But I wonder if his style has kind of run its course of like the overblown, like quick cut Instagram filter of the insane musical happening at the same time. Like, are we going to get more Baz Luhrmann movies, or has our appetite run out?
I feel like people love Moulin Rouge, and if he came out with a new thing in that style, like it doesn't have to be like Moulin Rouge 2, but another like big musical fun thing with pop songs or whatever, like I feel like people would still be into that, right?
Yeah, like why didn't he make Greatest Showman?
Yes,
right.
Perfect. Yes,
I feel like that's yeah.
Except instead of all of those original
anyways,
songs, just like ABBA. Like, you know.
We miss you, Boz. Come back. Although I can't stand Moulin Rouge. Well, we'll talk about that another day.
That's like his best movie.
I know. Gives me a headache.
Are these Shakespeare Easter eggs? Because I'm not enough of a nerd to get them. Or a different kind of nerd. Meet Romeo, a boy who speaks in whispers. And does he do that?
ASMR?
You bet. Every 90s girl wished that he'd kiss her. And just like them, he's always soaking wet.
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
Sploosh.
Yeah,
Park and Angel slept.
It's a very wet movie. They're always both very damp.
Yeah, like she starts wet, like inside with her head inside like that bowl of water or whatever, and then eventually he gets to go inside a bowl of water with his head wet, and then of course they pass the aquarium, and then they're in a pool, and then it's raining. They just really like taking these young actors and just dousing them in ice water.
It's Verona. It's the beach, baby. You know, like that's how they're living on Verona Beach.
Yeah, it is very cute. They apparently were not really into each other on set, which is interesting. I feel like both of them in their as cute as they were, kept it very professional and didn't really have that passion off screen that they had on. I think Leo talked about how his favorite co-star of all time is Kate Winslet, and she's the best kisser, and had really nothing to say about Claire Danes, looking back on his different pairings. That's like one of those Vanity Fair videos or something like that. So interesting to think about. Also, they dodged a real creepy bullet because they were going to cast Natalie Portman in this role, who was actually 13, 14 at the time.
Ooh, yeah, no, age him on up. We're fine with it.
Don't need to stay that accurate to Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's one of those Game of Thrones things where people on Reddit sometimes are like, you know, their real ages, and it's like, well, thank goodness we didn't do that, because
I don't want that at all.
Way more disturbing. So no, that's terrible. Like, I'm glad my so-called life. That's the right stage of teen that we're looking for.
All right, keep going.
Codependent mess. It's her, the 90-minute fiancé. She'll show the depths to which she is obsessed by sending Paul Rudd in his prime away. Huge mistake, girl. Our heroine is not quite as complex. Blankly stares as if she's in a dream. It gives you enough time to recollect the fact that she's supposed to be 13. Ugh. They fall in love while others take the hits. So who cares if these little brats are vibing? Their daddies turn Verona into She's Ivanka Trump. He's Hunter Biden.
My poverty, but not my will consent.
So pause. I mean, I couldn't get over the sense of this watch through of like, these are just two little bratty rich kids. First of all, they probably knew each other from like private school. Like there's no way they had no idea that the two rival families, like, oh, you have a daughter my age and you have a son my age. Like, come on. And what do those families do anyways? What do the Capulets and Montagues do in Verona that they're that rich, but they're not like the government?
Well, you're
going on
there? Like, it makes sense in the play that they would just be these like noble houses in this like city state, but like, because it's now reset in like a modern capitalist city, you're like, what industry are they in? But like, it wouldn't work that way in like, you know, I don't know, the Renaissance time or whatever this is actually supposed to be taking place. Like oil, I don't know.
Maybe they sell words, and that's why we kept getting the close-ups of them.
They sell snap zooms for cameras.
I mean, it's like today it'd be like they're like investment firms. They're both on banks or whatever, you know, it'd be something.
We don't have enough rival families today, you know. We need more city states and more rival families.
Yeah.
Makes for good
Who
drama.
hates the Waltons?
I mean, like our few states like billions, you know, like it's not as like dramatically satisfying.
Yeah. Anywho, keep going.
Families crash a costume party. The spectacle surpasses any play. When has Shakespeare ever been so trippy? When has Mercutio been so gay? The Capulets.
Now pause. I think, and I was talking to Roth about this. She disagrees, but I thought Mercutio and Tybalt were like the scene stealers for me and were the best part of the movie. Others think that they were way too over the top in the worst part of the movie. What say ye?
I mean, look, you're either into the style and the tone of this, or you're not on some level. And I feel like if you are, like, if you're like, I'm into this, I get what he's doing, then to me, you know, Perno and Leguizamo steal the whole show. Like, they're the ones who like get what this is the most and give themselves over to it. And like, that's the point, right? Like, why would you be restrained in this version of this story? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, even with Leguizamo doing that, like he does this fun thing where he acts like this. I have to agree with Lon on that one. Like, and agree with the panel. Like, I want them to be out there having fun. Like, this is so silly, and it's supposed to be like an overtop big thing. I don't want a lot of like sullenness. And when the movie does get kind of sullen and sad, it's like, oh, I want to go back to the fun gunfight. Bring me back to them guns.
Go back to Boondock Saints with Old English. Yeah.
I mean, one more, like, Sorvino also gets it. Like, he's like, Sorvino's totally on board for what this movie is, maybe more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Just like, get in, zoom into my pores. I'm gonna scream this at you while you film my eyebrow.
Oh, good times. All right, keep going.
Montagues are a-holes. They wave their guns in public, so naughty. They ride the coattails of a famous name, much like Leo's old posse.
Pause. Pop quiz, name the other members of Leo's posse.
Tobey Maguire for sure. That's the one I always remember.
David Blaine.
Wow, was Blaine in there? Wow.
Wow. No wonder they gave themselves that name, because they just used to be raking it in.
Yeah.
And then, Toby and David Blaine are the other ones. There's an entourage guy. There's an entourage guy. I'll let you guess.
Is it Turtle?
No.
E?
It's E.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, indeed.
It's E. And then I'd have to look up the other ones.
There's a few more. It was a full posse. They got to posse quorum.
This is why I think Paul Rudd is the superior choice. If you're given a young Leo or a young Rudd, you take your Rudd and go.
We've all seen, recent photos of DiCaprio. Like, still a good-looking guy, but hasn't held up in the way Paul Rudd, who is timeless.
Well, looks aside, I just think Paul Rudd will treat you right. He's not part of some sort of posse.
Yeah, I don't think Paul Rudd's ever counted as a member of any posse.
Especially not that kind.
Paul Rudd would never join your posse.
Okay, anyways, keep going.
His love roars into a blaze. Their passion thaws their family's cold standoff. Marriage, sex, and death, all in just 2 days. Barely time for Molly to wear off. Such a tragic tale of young lives crimped. Their fake death plan goes wrong, so she takes aim. Romeo's the patron saint of Sims and dies before he learns her middle name. So try to enjoy Shakespeare with no lions. No, really, Lion King is just Hamlet. At this point, Hollywood is barely trying. How derivative can writers get? The play's the thing, but not so much this movie, unless Elizabethan troubles you. Watch this film that makes it go down easy. Its true home is on the CW. Starring.
Yeah, so pause. I mean, Shakespeare, whether they're using his words or not, is the basis of some of your favorite movies and some completely forgettable ones and some of your least favorite movies. We really owe this guy some royalties because he's given us the plot patchwork for a roadmap for everything. For what, Clueless, or was Clueless? No, Clueless is Emma.
Clueless is Emma.
Emma, yeah.
But is it 10 Things I Hate About You? Is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah.
Yep.
Romeo and Juliet. What's that one?
It's 10 Things I Hate. That's Pygmalion. No,
I thought that was Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, you're right. Wait. Yes. Never mind.
So there you go. That's the. I think they tell you in screenwriting class, like, don't remake Romeo and Juliet. But screw that. We're going to keep remaking Romeo and Juliet until the heat burns out of the sun. And that did make me want to rewatch Romeo Must Die. It's been a long time.
Sure, why not?
I don't remember how much Molly is in that one. I will say probably one of the most realistic parts about this adaptation is that he falls in love with a girl while on Molly. Like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then they get Molly, they get married, have sex, and then die. I mean, that last part maybe not, but
I feel like this was still, we call it Molly in the trailer. I didn't say anything, but I feel like it was still ecstasy. You were doing X in '96.
Yes,
you weren't.
But it was
doing
more
Molly
pure back
yet.
then. It was
Right.
it wasn't as cut, so
Yeah.
I think Molly became the thing to be like, don't worry, it's not mostly
Right.
speed
I don't think
and
when this
Robitussin.
movie came out, if you had said doing Molly, I would know what that means.
Fair. Well, I don't know. We'll have to have a drug historian on for that one.
Yeah. You let us know in the comments.
All right, keep going.
Starring Romeo, Claire and Present Danger, the Merc with a Mouth. Hey, is that Jamie Kennedy?
It is.
Ant-Man? And that
was
one
weird.
line you know from Westworld.
These violent delights have violent ends.
It's lit. Rosalind is about to get a wild phone call from one of her girlfriends telling her about the literal bullet she just dodged.
Yeah, you get the sense that Juliet, Rosalind, anybody, could have been anyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's in the play. I mean, that is part of what is Shakespeare is sort of saying here. That right. That it was, they don't, even in a play in a fictionalized world, they don't really take any time to get to know one another at all. It's an instantaneous decision.
Yeah, but
Like
how much
the
of that
light
is just back in whatever, the Elizabethan era where like if you made direct eye contact, like you had to get married. Like, isn't that how it worked back then?
Oh yeah, if you kiss a dude, that's your fiance now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
I
over.
mean, you would, like, in your entire life, by the time you get to this age, you may have met like 3 members of the opposite sex. So every time sparks were flying.
You really wanted to make it work.
Yeah, you've been in a room with your 2 siblings for your entire life until like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, well, that wasn't everything we wrote, so let's see some deleted
Certainly
scenes if
not.
we got them ready.
Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Romeo Must Cry, The Simp of Wall Street, My Heart Will Go On, Until the Next Girl, My Star-Crossed Life, It's a Nice Day for a Wine Wedding, Friend Without Benefits, SLC Pink, Ain't Man, Waluigi, To Lady Cap, Thanks for Everything, Iced Out Age, and Prince of Cats? Where are the cats at? West Coast Story, Moulin Grunge, Die Bard, Family Feud. What do the Montagues and Capulets even do in this world to be so rich and powerful? Probably rival Hawaiian shirt companies.
There you go. Forgot about that. Yeah, they sell crucifixes and Hawaiian shirts.
Wow. Yeah. Not a movie that's really like subtle in the use of symbology. Like, he's just right out there in front.
And why is Tybalt the Prince of Cats without... I saw not one cat. There must be some reason, right?
I mean, I'm sure if I got my annotated Riverside Shakespeare, I could tell you what the significance of that reference is. Let's see.
Someone will let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me stop y'all right there and thank everyone so much for watching to this point. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like and the bell if you haven't already. And like Joe announced yesterday, he is still at Fandom, but is leading the channel over at D&D Beyond. And he's being introduced to the community on Twitch today at 2 p.m. Pacific time. There's a link in the description. So everybody raid that channel, but in a positive way, and send Joe some good vibes because he could all use our help. So I will be watching my first Dungeons and Dragons thing thanks to Joe Starr, and I hope you'll do the same.
Yeah, and on YouTube, it's the Fandom Tabletop channel is the channel you want to look for on YouTube. Yep.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Links in the description, and also come back to this channel. Friday we got a WandaVision episode 6 review with Roth and Eric, which brings us to your questions. Keep them coming in. I only see 2, so we'll take 2.
Well, do you want to know why Tybalt is called the Prince of Cats?
I do.
There was a character in mythology also named Tybert, so it's close enough that it was like a play on words, and from a thing called Reynard the Fox, and he was known as the Prince of Cats. So he's like comparing him to a silly character from a story.
All right.
It'd be like if I called you Puss in Boots because your name was Russ or something, you know, like it's close enough that I'm making a play on words.
Oh, you can't win every time, Bill Shakespeare. Okay, Torch 7890 writes, what other classic piece of literature would you like to add drugs and guns to?
Oh, geez.
Well, they didn't add. I mean, they added guns. I guess there are already weapons in Romeo.
Yeah, would you like to put in a hyper modern setting?
I don't know, Beowulf maybe? Or is that just the oldest thing I can think of off the top of my head?
No, Beowulf would be cool because it's like monster fights, you know?
Like Moby Dick.
I'm going to give a really nerdy answer here. There is an Edith Wharton novel. She wrote like The Age of Innocence. There's one that's never been adapted called Custom of the Country. People keep trying to make it. Like Scarlett Johansson was going to adapt it for a while. But it is so modern because it's about this like woman from the Midwest and her dad gets rich suddenly and they move to New York and she's like a Kim Kardashian, like I'm going to become like the favorite of the New York social scene. And she's just like this relentlessly ambitious social climber. And it's really satirical. And you could 100% set it today with like influencers instead of New York society at the turn of the 20th century. So that's my
okay. I'll go with Brothers Karamazov, but like each brother is a different type of ninja. You know, one is like really good with swords, and the other's really good with a bow staff, and the other's really good with magic. And you know, their evil father dies, and there's a whole trial and stuff. I think you could bring that into either the modern era or the far future, like Jupiter Ascending. So that's my pick for sure.
Yeah, classic Russian literature meets Fox Force 5. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Adam Hulbert writes, Baz Luhrmann is making an Elvis Presley movie. Well, there you go.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I do remember hearing about
I could see him making an Elvis doc, like a surreal kind of Rocket Man
Is
style.
that the one where, I believe, is that the one where Tom Hanks is playing Colonel Tom Parker?
Oh, that'd be great. That's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's happening.
And then James Bunt writes, sort of similar, but different. What director would you like to try Romeo and Juliet again, but in their own style? Like, who do you think could do R&J?
Boots Riley.
Boots Riley. All right.
Yes. Wow. I would like to see that.
I'm into that.
I think it would be fun to get like a ladies take. So maybe like like an Anna Lilia Mirpour or like a Sofia Coppola or like a Chloe Zhao, somebody like that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just because I was thinking about Hamlet 2000, I'd watch like a Linklater, like walking around Austin version of Romeo and Juliet, where still Ethan Hawke, but an age appropriate. And Julie Delphi. Just get them to do Romeo and Juliet.
But like lackadaisical.
But very lackadaisical, yeah. Just take all the energy out of it.
If you want
That'd
to
be
like
different.
meet up and get married later and maybe drink poison, we could try that.
All right. Finally, Rob Turner, we'll end on this. What would Shakespeare be doing if he were alive today?
Oh, he would have a deal with Netflix for sure, right?
I think he'd probably be a TV writer, right? Because he was definitely employed by the court or like the government. He wasn't like a
100% like a Shonda Rhimes, Seth MacFarlane, Kenya Barris, like some sort of Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy. Like that's what Shakespeare would be doing.
He'd be good the best version of Ryan Murphy. Because he was not like, he was a hired gun, man. He was just producing these plays, just content for the content mill.
And like Ryan Murphy, it wasn't like original ideas. It was like, oh, I like that old story. I'm gonna like redo it my own version. Like he was just doing like Ratchet over and over again. Like it's just that same idea.
Imagine how excited he would get with all the butts you can show on TV now.
Oh, the fannies. They'd be scandalous. Which I know means something different in the UK, whatever.
But honestly, with his writing style, it is almost like a Seth MacFarlane. It's like a lot of pop culture references. A lot of the characters are like, you think that's bad? Like, like it almost. So
yes, he would be making Family Guy.
He might have
American
like a Family Guy, yeah.
That's what Shakespeare would be doing today.
There you go.
All right, finally, next week, you guys, I hope you guys come back for a film with another "and" in a title, 2 names and an "and." That'll be your clue. That's all you get. And that's all you get from us 3. So thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Lon. And thank you, audience. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.